Hey, welcome back to our Remix Summer Series. Through this entire series, we've discovered that our days are filled with those moments when we can choose good or choose evil, when we can do what is right or do what is wrong, when we can overcome or be overcome. And this is our last episode. Boo hoo. This is our last episode in the day of our imaginary girl with very real problems. And so here we go. Summer arrives at Tommy's house with her best friend, Autumn. Now, the problem is that Summer's mom thinks that she is at Autumn's house, but Autumn changed the plans and took them to Tommy's house, and Summer did not tell her mom. And they show up at Tommy's house, and it's like there's a lot of other people there. A lot of band kids, a lot of football kids. It's like everybody that Summer hasn't seen yet this summer. And it's a pool party, which, they were going to swim at Autumn's house. But Summer's really excited because she's wearing her favorite unicorn tankini. Anyways, so it's the first time that Summer has seen a lot of her friends since school let out. So there's a lot of catching up to do. She hears a lot of stories about going to the beach, what movies people saw, who's dating who. And then there's a pose diving contest. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's where you act out all kinds of stupid poses while jumping off the diving board. And the boy that she likes, Chris, remember him? He jumps off and he does the unicorn. You know, the move where you pose like a horse and you hold your fingers out like this on your forehead. Summer is in love. Anyways, while the party continues, Autumn calls Summer aside and she tells Summer that some of the kids are going up to the balcony to get high. She says to Summer, look, it's early enough in the night, so if you do this now, we can get home and your mom won't really notice. Now, this is a moment when, right? Like Summer could just go with it and follow Autumn to the balcony to get high with their friends. But Summer tells Autumn, I really don't want to do that. That's the whole reason my mom doesn't want me at Tommy's house anyways. Because of what happened after the spring formal. I don't want to go down that road again. And you don't either. So, Autumn and Summer stay down by the pool. Good job, Summer. Anyways, then Chris invites them to the hot tub. Chris? Unicorn pose? Chris? Yes, that same Chris. So of course they go and they get in and they settle into the hot tub and they start exchanging stupid jokes and flirting and Anyways, while this is going on, Tommy comes down from the balcony and brings a couple friends and the materials necessary for getting lit. And they hop into the hot tub and start passing it around, just joking the whole time. And this is that moment when, it was a lot easier to say no when it was just Autumn. But now Summer has a lot more people looking at her, a lot more eyes on her. Plus, she has this thing going with Chris right now. So no one's really saying anything about what they're passing around. They're just passing it as they're going with the conversation. So there's not any verbal pressure at this point, but Summer feels all kinds of pressure on the inside to go with what her friends are doing. And she thinks to herself, I could just take just one here. No more than that. I could just do it once. And then she thinks to herself, no. One hit is too many. I've already decided I'm not going to use any more substances to make my life better. I've already decided I don't want any substance to get in the way of my future success. So when it comes to her, she says, no, thank you. But then the friend that was passing it to her says, come on, YOLO. Oh man, this is that moment when. Will Summer cave to the peer pressure? Or will she stick to her principles? Well, I'm going to interrupt the story right here because I want to talk about peer pressure and temptation and what's going on inside of us. And I just want to say something. The point of your life is not to fit in, and the point of your life is not to stand out. You know, there's pressure that people, old and young alike, we all feel it. We feel this pressure to either to fit in, to kind of blend in with the crowd, to be like everybody else, or we feel this pressure to like stand out. I'm so different. I'm so unique. Right? To be different from everybody else. Right? There's pressure both ways. And in this case, Summer is feeling the pressure to fit in. But as a Christian, the point of our lives is entirely different. As a Christian, the point of your life is to love God and love others. Jesus, he actually looked at all the rules of the Old Testament. He looked at all the commands in the Jewish law book, and he said there's one that makes sense of all of them. Right? And this is it. You're to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. Our world says YOLO, but Jesus says GOLO. All right, so I just made that up. It's totally a joke, but I do want you to think about that. The world says YOLO. You only live once. And the point of that phrase is you do you, you have fun. You might not ever have this chance to have this experience again, so just do it. But I think God's mandate for us is a little different. It's GOLO. G, go, O for out, and L for loving, and O for others. GOLO. It's not YOLO, it's GOLO. Go out loving others. The point of your life is not about having the most fun. The point of your life is not about making the most friends. The point of your life is not about getting the most stuff. The point of your life is not even happiness. The point of your life is holiness. Seriously, I want you to read 1 Peter 1, verses 13 through 16. With me. That's 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 13 through 16. Peter is writing to a group of people. He's writing to churches 2,000 years ago, and he's trying to help them understand the purpose of their life and why they're doing what they're doing and how they should live and how they should even think about living. And so read it with me. 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 13 through 16. He says, "Therefore, prepare your minds for action. Be self-controlled. Set your hope fully on the grace to be given you when Jesus Christ is revealed. As obedient children, don't conform to the evil desires you had when you lived in ignorance, but just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all you do. For it is written, 'Be holy, because I am holy.'" Be holy in all you do. Peter says this, you have to be prepared for action, right there. Prepare your minds for action, he said. You have to be prepared for resistance. You have to prepare for self-control. And then Peter says, be holy in all you do. That's kind of a weird word, and a word probably that we don't use well these days. A lot of times we use the word holy to start a phrase like holy snakers or holy cow or holy unicorn. But while it may be a weird word, if you took all the times where holy shows up in the Bible would be as holy as Swiss cheese. Get it? Because there'd be a bunch of holes where the word holy should be. Okay. Anyways, it's an important concept in the Bible. So if we're going to follow Jesus, we probably better pay attention to it. So holy means sacred or beyond good or set apart for good work. God is holy. And Peter instructs his readers to be holy. Peter wants the people of his church, and he wants us, even today, to always ask this question when it comes to our actions. Is this action holy? Am I doing what God wants in this moment? Am I being what I need to be for God in this world right now? So going back to what Jesus said and then what Peter said, I think the Christian has three main questions that she uses in making decisions. First, the first question is this: does this show love to God? Second, does this show love to others? 3, is this holy? If it is a no to any of those or all of those, you need to think through, why do I want to do what I'm about to do? All right? Always ask those questions. Ready? First, does it show love to God? Second, does it show love to others? 3, is this holy? Okay? Now, what about those times when we're under crazy pressure, crazy peer pressure, or stupid temptation from within? How do we overcome that, though? How do we overcome that? Well, I take comfort in what Paul wrote to the church in Corinth, okay? I want you to turn to that passage in 1 Corinthians. I think I saved the spot. So I want you to turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 12 through 13. The church in Corinth, some people were saying, well, because I'm feeling like sinning, I'm just going to do it because it's me, it's in me. So I'm just going to do it. And Paul's like, no. As Christians, you're called to live a different life. And so he actually has a little moment where he talks about temptation. And this verse was actually been helpful for me since I was in high school. And so I want you to hear this. Okay. So, it says in verse 12, if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. No temptation has seized you except what is common to man, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. Sometimes I wish that when I became a Christian, I wish that everything became easy peasy lemon squeezy. But that's not what happens. Instead, temptations keep coming our way. But Paul assures us right here, when you are tempted. He doesn't say if you are tempted, but when. He says God will provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. That is a great promise. So let's find out what happens in Summer's story. Let's see if she stands up to the temptation. Are you ready? You ready? Let's go back. So they're in the hot tub. Her friend's leaning over and says, YOLO. And as soon as she hears that, she remembers her youth worker saying GOLO, and she's like, oh, she knows that she does not want to give in. She knows that she doesn't want Autumn to cave into the pressure too, because Autumn's on the other side of her, hasn't made it to her yet. And so she says, nope. And for your information, this stuff, even if they say it doesn't harm your body, it does affect your mind. This is not going to help you in the long run. I'm out of here. Autumn, come on, let's go back to your house. So she and Autumn get out of the hot tub. And then they realize they don't have a ride because the person who brought them to the party is still in the pool. So Summer does the hardest thing of her day. She calls her mom and asks her to come pick her up. And she doesn't hide any of the truth. She tells her everything. She tells her she made a mistake, that she feels terrible, that she knows it wasn't right, and that she's sorry. When her mom picks her up, she doesn't say anything. But then Summer, as they're driving back, just breaks down. She says sorry again and again, and she says she knows it's not right that she lied to her and that she knows it was wrong to go to Tommy's. And you know what her mom does? This is so cool. Her mom pulls the car over, takes Summer's hand into hers, and she looks into her eyes and she says, look, I love you, and I forgive you. There's going to be consequences for this, but for right now, I want to pray with you. And so her mom prays for her right there. She prays for her to have strength to overcome in the future. She prays for Summer's friends that they would make wise decisions. She prays for Autumn to not give in to peer pressure. And she prays that all of them would know more than anything that they are loved and made to love others. So that's the end of Summer's day. But it's not the end of your story. You may have made some big mistakes, and I really want you to know, like, you don't have to keep on making those mistakes. You can overcome whatever temptation comes your way. This is a big deal. You can't do that without asking God for help, though. You got to tell him that you've made a mistake, and you got to ask him for his help in the future. And if you really want to overcome whatever temptations come your way, if you really do, you need to talk to an adult or a Christian friend. Confess your sin to them. Ask them to keep you accountable. Ask them to pray for you. It is never, ever too late to turn around. It is never, ever too late to change your direction. It is never too late to repent. Okay? I do have a couple pieces of advice for how to overcome peer pressure. So number one, as we've said every single week, ask God for help. Ask God for help. I promise you. Say, God, I need you, and he's going to help you in some way. Okay? Number two, make up your mind ahead of time. You know, Peter said earlier, prepare your minds for action. You got to think through the what ifs of temptation and peer pressure. You got to make up your mind ahead of time to not do drugs, to not drink, to not have sex. You need to make up your mind before you're actually in the situation, because I can almost guarantee if you haven't made up your mind ahead of time, you're gonna cave. You're gonna give in. You're gonna do something that you regret. Okay? Number three, think long-term goals, not short-term thrills. There's a lot of opportunities for short-term thrills, but you need to think about you need to think about your future. You need to think about the things that you want to do with your future, and you need to think about how these decisions might impact what you're doing in the future. And you got to think about who you're going to be and how you want to live in the future. And so you got to think long-term goals, not short-term thrills. And number four, remember this: God's love is forever, and your friend's love is temporary, serious. You may be feeling serious pressure from them, but you need to remember this: God's love for you lasts forever. So look to his love. Don't look to get love from all your friends. Their love is nice, and you can feel it right now, but it's going to be gone. Serious, it's going to be gone. Number five, try this. Reverse the pressure. If your friends are pressuring you to do one thing, how about you reverse it and try to pressure them to do another thing? Serious. Remember, you are called to have an impact on them. In our story, Summer, because she said no and pulled Autumn out of the hot tub, she was able to get Autumn out of that situation so that Autumn wouldn't do something that she was going to regret right there. So reverse the pressure. Remember your impact on others. And number six, run! Seriously, get out of there. If there's an area where you are tempted repeatedly, get out, get out, get out. Flee from that. Okay, so that's my 6 quick tips on how to overcome peer pressure. 1, ask God for help. 2, make up your mind ahead of time. 3, think long-term goals, not short-term thrills. 4, remember God's love is forever. Your friend's love is temporary. 5, reverse the pressure. And 6, run! All right, my friends, this has been a fun summer series, and I want you to remember that every moment is an opportunity for you to love God, love others, and be holy. And my hope is that you would place your whole life in God's hands and allow him to work in you. That every moment would be that moment when you choose to love God, love others, and be holy. Have a great summer. Bye-bye.